what you want.
All right. Welcome back, No Means Nerds, to No Means No Thing, No Means Nothing. I think it's still up in the air how we're going to land on that. Maybe we won't land anyway. Good to be back. This is the first episode we're recording where
It's been out in the world.
That's when we know people are listening. Exactly. So probably going to be a bit of a manic energy to this one because you guys are fucking excellent. And it's nice to know that we're not speaking into the void. So I'm pretty excited about that. Anybody, Michelle, what are you drinking today?
Oh, I am having some Guinness in my.
Oh my God, knock me over again.
In my Guinness pint glass brought to me by Braddles, who got it in Ireland, and I have it on my Guinness coaster.
Perfect. Again,
and I have Guinness underoos on too.
The No Means Nothing podcast brought to you by Guinness someday.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Matthew, I know you're taking a break from that, so you got your water, your tea there.
Club soda and lime juice.
Club soda and lime juice is good. I've got my old fashioned, so I think we're ready to dig into this. We've got some fucking stellar lineups here. Really interesting. I'm really looking forward to talking about it. And so I think, without too much preamble, we should just dive in, unless either of you guys have something that you want to say to our listeners out there before we start.
I got something to say.
Go for it.
I think this is one of my didn't matter much to me. I like this episode. I think these are really good songs to match up against each other, and I think we're going to have a plethora of information to discuss about them.
Fuck yeah. All right, well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right, we've kept you in suspense long enough. Here's our first matchup. The first matchup is Big Dick off of Wrong, 1989. I mean, fucking shit. And then versus He Learned How to Bleed off of Worldhood of the World as Such, 1995. So before we dive into talking about it, here's where future me is going to stick in a real big dick into the podcast.
Like a monkey in the zoo, you have no religion when you find a way your best to make a real step, big dick. God, can we ever take somebody out, take? So you dip it in the wine, make a holy sign, big dick. Oh, big dick. Come quick, big dick. Come quick. Well, you're running out of a tree, you're trying to run, but you're pounding your chest like you're at the max, big dick.
All right. So first up, because in fact it was your origin story, if I remember right, Michelle, is you. You're on the hot seat. What do you think of this one?
You want to know what? I wrote no notes about this song. That's how important it is. I don't need any notes because this song puts the FU in funk. All right? That's right. This song absolutely kills me. It is the first song I heard, yes, indeedy, at a party, at Dave Reynolds' party, who was in the band Squid. I heard it at a party, and I pulled the cigarette out of my mouth, put my beer down, and ran around the house and said, "What in the fuck is this?" I ran over to the record player. I looked for the guy. I went out of my mind. I kind of wish I could hear it right now. Again, this is one that will never. This means so much to me. Is it my favorite No Means No song? No. But does it hold a very special place in my heart? Oh, yes. Now, I was not really aware of the words. And yes, I could hear the big dick part, and I could hear the hoo part. I don't care. That music, a pants pooper. My favorite part is at the end when this cheesy lounge guy comes up and goes, "Hey there, what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this? I've been looking at you all night. Let me see if I can do it. Do you want to come over to my place for a little nightcap? Actually, I'm a political science major." the laugh, yes, the laugh. It goes so well with
So good.
the music happening at that time and the drumming and this song is the shit. I'm gonna stop now because the song is the shit and you all know it.
I agree. I mean, I don't know what I have to add to that, right? Like, it's your origin story. I remember the first time I heard it, right? Wrong was the first album. This fucking thing came on, blew my fucking ass off. I had so this is a song, one of their songs where it's just bass and drums, right? Well, and vocals, of course, but just bass and drums. How the fuck they can make a song feel so fucking epic and full with just the bass and drums is absolutely incredible. And with a bass line it's repetitive, right?
It is repetitive.
It's like a repeat. But so I had this friend in college who was a drummer. He wasn't in college. He was a friend of mine from childhood. But in college, he brought his buddies down to stay at my place, and they'd seen No Means No play up in Arcata. And he's like, yeah, they're all right, but they're just too repetitive for me. I'm like, first of all,
where are they buried? Where'd you bury him?
He's a Fish fan, so I don't have to listen to what he says.
Fuck that! Come on,
I don't have to take him seriously. And
no fucking noodles in Big Dip.
But the first thing is, it's like a hardcore fucking mantra, right? Like the way it repeats just adds to it, and that's only if you're listening casually. If you really fucking listen to it, the way John is underneath that, it's almost as if John's the lead instrument and Rob's got this intricate thing fucking going, but he makes the bass line sound different by what he does, how he changes underneath it. It changes the bass line, which doesn't change, by the way he fucks around with it underneath it. It's really fucking deep in that sense, musically. It's fucking genius. And of course, it's hilarious. This song is fucking hilarious. It's a great song to play for people who don't know No Means No very well, because it'll make them laugh, but it's also just fucking musically insane. You can't believe Rob is playing that bass line or that John is playing the drums that way. And, lyrically, it's right in their wheelhouse. Classic takedown of patriarchy, talking about, in some of their songs, like you've got 0 + 2 = 1 or Mary, where they talk about that primal force underneath that's sort of more powerful than man. And we're just this piddly little fucking nothing with our logic and all that kind of bullshit. Then they have these other songs which are like, yeah, but that little primal piece you've got in you, it's kind of a fucking asshole. It's kind of a sex crazed piece of shit. And the cover that you put on yourself to cover it up just makes you even more of a fucking asshole. And the end of the song that you highlighted, Michelle, where Andy delivers that fucking guy cornering that girl at the party.
Douche lounge jerk off.
Fucking perfect. That is an incel frat boy motherfucking. It is perfect. Perfect. Andy is actually, the way he can deliver a lyric line is fucking unmatched. It's so good, so good. Anyway,
yeah, and what John's playing behind it while he's saying that is just
God.
You've seen this live, right? With the hair, with doing the Barbie hair. Tom's like doing all the stage antics where he's like flipping his hair back and like putting lipstick on. It's hilarious.
It's fucking great.
Hilarious.
All right, Matthew, what about you? What do you have to say about this?
Having met Andy in person, I mean, he's snotty is one of the last adjectives I would use to describe him. But
that's right.
In terms of his punk voice, his singing voice, he's got that snottiness, and he just injects all of that right into that persona that he puts on at the end. And certainly it is a song about toxic masculinity and kind of it's silly and crazy. I mean, the repetitive bass line and the incredible fast complex drums that, for me, I mean, I've tried to play that on the drums, even just the hi-hat, and off the rails is the exact term, because I will actually just slip straight out of my groove. I can't keep up with that. It's just like, I'm over here somewhere. I kind of threw the stick across the room, and I didn't even notice.
Come on, there are a handful of drummers in the entire world who could keep up with that.
Oh yeah, no, I know. I mean, there's a part where I don't think I ever saw John use double bass pedal, but I can't figure out how he's doing it otherwise. Anyway, yeah, The song itself, though, it's silly and crazy. It has so much of that no means no humor with the dark topic. But the song, the main part of the song on its own probably would have had a hard time competing against what we're going to compete it with. But it's the bridge that makes it for me, and the parts where they just like let go, and this straight ahead part at the end where they just let it all out, and it's basically a jam. Bass and drums jam. Yeah, it's really hard to, and of course the poli-sci major, and that's all, folks. And Andy's little inclusions, just it's not just
fucking good.
It just displays so much of the personality of the band, like
exactly
how they don't take themselves too seriously, and don't take anything else too seriously either.
It's a great fucking point.
I think it's John on backing vocals, which you don't hear a lot in the earlier stuff,
right?
Which is pretty cool. And topic wise, I think it's sort of like the rise and fall of, it's definitely like that big swing and dick, your sexual energy, but it starts out where you're kind of like a little monkey and you're confused by it. And then in the middle, it's more dangerous and it may be sort of more aggressive. And, rivers of blood have turned to mud. Flies are things about maybe being too aggressive and maybe suggesting some violence in it. And then at the end, Daddy's getting tired because he's drunk the whole crock. Now he's got his like limp cock. I mean, it's just this arc.
Yeah, it's a whole arc.
It's the arc of man. This is the best No Means No song ever written. Let's just end this shit right now.
No, hold on.
And I do have affection for the version that's on Would We Be Alive in the Fish Tank, and I think it's the same exact version. But
I think so. Two drummers,
Rob singing, two drummers. It's got so many different funny little bits and other little random bits of percussion that are probably just people in the studio playing. I mean, it's just so much fun that they're having. Clearly, it reminds me of Showbiz Giants silliness, actually.
It is a fucking fun song, and you're so right about how it really displays their personality. It is such a great fucking encapsulation of that.
Yeah,
nice.
So one of my favorites. I mean, it's off of Wrong, which is certainly in the very, very beginning of my awareness of No Means No. And it certainly is a standout on that very dark album. It's a dark topic, but much kind of sillier, lighter tone to the music. So anyway, yeah, there you go.
Excellent. All right, well.
No, wait a minute. Wait. I think this is a good time for me to read something.
All right.
And this was from the No Means No Facebook group, and it's from Ernie Hawkins. He was the drummer in one of their he was a drummer in Hanson Brothers. Ernie Hawkins, yeah.
Ernie Hansen.
Mm-hmm. And I actually wrote to him and asked him if I could use his post on Facebook and read it on the podcast because I loved what he said. So I'm going to read this now. And it does have something to do with what we were just talking about. So Ernie says, I put on Wrong about 1992 and I do have the right year, 1992, and blew my mind. It hit so hard, but it wasn't metal. It was punky, but not messy and loose like DK. It was snarky without being pretentious, intelligent, but not elitist. It was serious, but clever. I definitely didn't get it, but boy, did I like it.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
That was under the post about, do you know anybody or your spouse or something or your significant other who doesn't get No Means No? But that's what Ernie wrote. And I loved it.
That's great. I mean,
intelligent, but not elitist. Yeah.
Yep.
I loved it. So I asked him if I could read it, and I just read it.
Earnest nerds who don't give a fuck.
Thank you, Ernest.
Exactly. All right, well, let's talk about its rival, He Learned How to Bleed, which is, again, it's off of World Who the World Is Such. Michelle, what are your thoughts on this one?
I do love this song. I love how powerful it is, and I love the album. I love this whole album, and it's such a good song on this album. I have watched some live versions of it over the years, and any footage you see of John, he's just using tons of floor toms and crash cymbals. I think the song works so well with the chorus and how easily they flow into each other, and it makes sense. I think it's an excellent, powerful song, and like I said, one of the great tunes on that album. Love it.
Nice. Yeah, I feel very similar. I think just kind of like I had said earlier on previous episode about My Politics, I love that this song feels like it kind of starts in media res. It's just starts at the climax and just fucking balls to the wall, as if that would be the middle, the peak of some other song, and yet it just comes right in with it. And it ends with that exact same riff, which I don't know. I was trying to think of another No Means No song that's Mobius strip like that. Like you could literally play this back to back and it would just sound like it was going right back into itself.
A beat match itself.
Exactly. It's really, really interesting in that way. So I will say my only few negatives first before I start to be effusive about this song. I really love this record. I think it's the worst mixed record of all of their records. And I don't like the mix of Worldhood. And I don't know that I ever got to hear the remastered of this, but a lot of it just gets way too fucking muddy for me. Now, that said, it's brilliant. The whole album is brilliant. But in terms of the engineering of it, there's a lot of it that leaves me a little bit feeling clammy about it. In this one, I feel like that kind of there's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's just sort of a muddiness between the guitar and the bass that I would like to not be there, that I don't hear in a lot of other No Means No. That's the only negative thing I'd have to say about it. Other than that, this song's fucking shreds, right? And it is one of my favorite songs off this album. I don't think about this song a lot on its own, but every time I hear it, I'm reminded how much I fucking love it. But it's not one of the songs for some reason that always comes to the front of my mind when I think of this album or when I think of No Means No. And yet it's so fucking good. So I don't know why it hasn't stuck in my consciousness more. But it is a really fucking good song. And, you know, something they do a lot on this album and certainly on a lot of other songs, they have that, you know, they don't hold to typical song structures, I think, but they have their own sort of toolkit that they go back to, the well they dip into for structure. And we've already talked about some songs that have the little musical break in the middle that, you know, has a totally different feel to it. And Michelle, you've talked about how some of those sort of leave you feeling a little flat. They don't necessarily fit as well. But right. This one to me is the most organic of all of them. I feel like it works so fucking good.
It does.
It's so good. I love that middle part. It's probably actually my favorite part of the song. I really, really love that portion of it. And it flows so seamlessly into it and back out of it again. Lyrically, I don't think this song is that opaque, really. You could take it literally. You can never really take No Means No literally. Frankly, this is sort of, I think, what's the guy's name? Chuck Palahniuk, the guy who wrote Fight Club. I think No Means No should probably fucking sue him because his book came out in 96. This came out in 95. This has got a lot of echoes of Fight Club in there, right? Like this predated Fight Club, but it's
more book references.
That
Love
feeling.
It.
I mean, there's a lot that's not a great reference to it, right? Fight Club's got a lot of other shit going on in it, but this feeling of someone who's sort of disaffected, and just that feeling of how you got to face the world and keep standing back up and keep fucking smiling through bleeding lips as someone stabs you or punches you, and you just keep getting up and learning how to fucking bleed. You do not give up. This doesn't strike me as a cynical song. It actually strikes me as a song where it's a bit earnest in a way, right? That they're not highlighting somebody who is fucked up. I mean, not more fucked up than any of us are, but it just feels earnest to me. It doesn't feel like one of their dark, cynical characters. And I like that. I like that. And that could be totally way off, but that's how I take this one. But I think this is one of my favorites on this album. I really like this song. What about you, Matthew?
Song. Well, I wouldn't say it's one of my favorites off of Worldhood. Actually, I had to think about when you gave us the pairings. I had to think about what album it was even on at first. But then again, just like it keeps happening to us, listening to the song in isolation, out of the context of the album, gives me a different appreciation, and maybe I would answer differently. listening to these things in the future. But this song, I'd like to hear the story behind it, because it is certainly feels like a song about futility, and in some ways it's an interesting pairing, because Big Dick is certainly about toxic masculinity. I think this is as well, or at least toxic, the stereotype of masculinity, or the stereotype of achievement, where you just have to keep striving, keep like beating yourself against it, even though it's making you bleed. It's like Big Dick, there's definitely contempt for the subject, or the object of the song. Whereas this one, there's a lot more pity. It feels like he's sort of like, what are you doing? There's sympathy for this person who just keeps striving and getting hurt and beating himself against the wall. And it's interesting, because there are a couple places where he's almost like a dialogue, Rob versus Rob. So, maybe this is sort of an internal voice, him talking to himself.
Right.
And, so sardonic, using the just do it Nike motto.
Right. Yeah.
Of the 90s. And it's just like, get yourself up off the ground, even though you're bruised and injured, just keep fucking going. Musically, it's very kind of straightforward for me in terms of No Means No songs.
Yep.
I mean, it's very maybe one of their more metal-y sounding songs, or hardcore sounding songs, especially in their latter day output. So yeah, that part doesn't actually interest me all that much sometimes. And the chorus where he's saying he learned how to bleed, it almost sounds like it's hard to say or hard to sing it. So it feels like it's almost a little bit awkward. But the ballady part in the middle, where they're singing more, and you can actually hear Tom. And so like that is maybe the first time where I'm like, oh yeah, Tom's in the band. Where you can actually identify Tom's voice, and I like that aspect of it.
And that's the only part of the song you can really hear the bass too, which is, on its own, which is one of the reasons I love that middle section. It's so, it's nice to hear that bass.
You hear a lot of guitar in that song, though.
A lot of guitar.
It sounds great. The guitar
it
sounds
is really
great
different
in that song.
It is really, and like you said, Matthew, it's really different than a lot of their songs in that way. It's more, straightforward is kind of a weird word to put on No Means No, but it's true. But it's true, at least in terms of their oeuvre. It's definitely more on that side of it. Huh. All right. Well, fuck. Anyone else got any comments before we put these up for a vote?
Oh, God.
All right. Then here we go.
Oh, God.
Insert fake drum roll. Michelle, you are up. Who goes through for you?
Come on. Do I have to say it?
You do have to say it. In fact, it's in your contract.
Big Dick. Bickus Dickus.
Biggest Dickus.
Bickus
so,
Dickus.
I am going to vote also for Big Dick. Was not quite as easy as I thought it might be, but Big Dick just looms far larger in my consciousness.
It's big.
Than He Learned How to Bleed, which is a great song. But
I like. Yep.
All right. How about you, Matthew?
I think it's got to go to Big Dick as well. Again, like
Big
you, wasn't as difficult. It was more difficult than I thought it might be. But I was thinking, if given that Rob is singing on the alternate version, had Rob been singing on the original wrong version, and there hadn't been those sort of silly Andy inclusions and that sort of silly, snarky Andiness in it, I might not have liked the song as much as I did.
Interesting. Yeah. The vocal performance really is important on that song. I agree. Huh. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's go to round 2 here.
Oh boy.
We've got 2 other songs to put up against each other. This is an interesting pairing.
To say the least.
So, song 1 in this corner, Sitting on Top of the World from One Down, Two to Go, 1994, versus Beauty and the Beast off The Day Everything Became Nothing in 1987. Probably many of us know it more from The Day Everything Became Isolated and Destroyed, which mashes those 2 LPs together. But it was really on, I think, first released on The Day Everything Became Nothing. So this one's a really fucking interesting pairing. And I'm going to go first.
Totally is. I love it. It's so wild.
So we're going to start talking about Sitting on Top of the World, and let's listen to a little bit of that right now.
She went away.
Wikipedia tells me that this song was originally a Walter Vinson and Lonnie Chapman of the Mississippi Sheiks in 1930.
That's on my notes too.
Yeah, so this is a cover, which I had never listened to. I knew this was a cover, but I'd never listened to it. So I listened to it today. And on first listen, I was like, it's not a cover of that song. Like, what the fuck? Are they wrong? Then, of course, reading the lyrics and going back and listening to it again, I'm like, well, okay, it is. A very Mr. Wrong cover of this song. Very fucking Mr. Wrong. Another brutal shot of his rhythm and blues, if I don't say so. I'd fucking love when Rob just goes off like this in his Mr. Wrong shit, right? There's a handful of covers like this, or not even covers, but songs like this. There's this one. There's Into the World, which I think is on Mr. Wrong Fights the System, that weird little EP put out. There's the other one on One Down and Two to Go. I'm Doing Well. The ones where it's just him, right? All on his own, which I can't wait to get to that one. And I fucking love it. And this one, I love how crisp and fucking hard that bass is. It's just every note, it's just right there and just punches me in the fucking nuts. Each one of them. I love this bass riff. I love how hard he fucking goes at it.
He's got it bad.
And I love how his voice is distant and echo and reverbed out. This lonely guy sitting in a graveyard who just ends up throwing himself in the grave, just like in Disappear. I think this guy just offs himself at the end out of heartache. He took a song that it's already kind of depressing, and he just cranks it up to 1,000, right? It makes it even way more depressing than it was back in the 30s when they were in the literal fucking depression. So I guess good for you, Mr. Wrong, for out depressing the depression. I love this song. I think it's great. And, I wish that I ever would have been able to see one of Rob's solo shows as Mr. Wrong. I really wish I would have been able to see that. I'm sure this would have been on the roster. I don't know what else he played in those songs. This had to be one of those songs. But I love it. I think this song's fucking great. And I've never skipped this when it comes on that compilation. Absolutely never. Mm-hmm. All right. So next we're going to hear from Matthew.
I didn't know it was. I went back to the 30s. I looked up that it was a Howlin' Wolf cover, but Howlin' Wolf must have been covered.
You covered it. Cover of a cover of a cover. It's been covered by a shit ton of people, actually.
Yeah.
It has been.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I didn't have time, but I'm going to go back and listen to some of those other versions. Of course, I think this is a Mr. Wrong song. I had to look as to whether it was. One of the songs on that Mr. Wrong 7-inch or not, but no,
it wasn't, right?
No, exactly.
The wiki says it was original that it was new for this compilation. I don't know if that's true, but that he recorded it and put it on the compilation. I don't think it was on anything else.
His passion and him and his instrument, and that's what's going on. And I did actually see a couple of Mr. Wrong shows, so I probably did see that song.
Oh, look at him! Fuck this guy! Get out!
Fucking A! God damn it,
asshole!
You've seen Andy. You've seen Mr. Wrong. Fucking. Anyway, go ahead.
It brings back memories of that particular expression that Rob gets, where he's just like really. In the moment, and both of the rights are kind of prematurely gray and usually really, really short hair. So they have their little smile and their eyes closed and their head back, their little bullet head back, and just
fucking
really,
Phil Donahue up there, right?
Yeah. Really just feeling it.
With that laugh.
Yeah.
That laugh of theirs.
His dialogue with his instrument. I mean, there's just so much heartache and love in this particular song. I think this is certainly one of my favorite of the sort of more Mr. Wrong-y songs.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting to know. I mean, what Rob reveals by the covers that he chooses to do.
Good point.
What else is he listening to that he maybe didn't feel up to covering, or never always wished he had covered. But
he's in pain. The man is in pain.
Beautiful song.
Beautiful. And one of the things that occurs to me as we're talking about this, I know of a handful of people that I've tried to introduce No Means No to that are kind of put off that Rob does so much of that. What was the German word for it? Talk singing?
I forget the German word.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Yeah, whatever. That like can he sing? Whatever. You listen to this song's like fucking Rob can sing, man. There's so much passion and so much nuance in this song, in his vocal performance. That fucker can sing, man.
Yeah.
And this song absolutely proves that in spades. Nice. All right. Well, that was all of us, right? Yep.
No, I didn't go. No.
Yet.
Hey, but no. You know what? I'm not going to go because between what you two said was exactly the same stuff I would have said, and you two, as always, say way more eloquent than me. But I do love this fucking song.
Nice.
I'd like to hear a little bit more of it.
Yeah. So I don't care if it's the same thing we said. Say it.
No,
Let's hear your passion.
Nobody wants to hear my repetitive shit. The
we
same
all
thing
want to
you
hear
said.
your repetitive shit.
Okay, here's something you didn't say. I like how it sounds like the band was practicing and John and Tom went out for a cigarette and left Rob on the stage by himself.
Nice. Fuck yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's what happened, but and I did. I had notes about the Mississippi Sheiks. Did I write that down? And the Howlin' Wolf. And there was something also about Robert Johnson and how Robert Johnson covered this but changed the name of the song to Come On In My Kitchen. But the Howlin' Wolf version is what is closely like I think what Rob was listening to when he covered it, not the Mississippi Sheiks one.
Yeah.
But I come on, the blues. Let's just give it up for the blues because
so
you wouldn't have
good.
shit. You wouldn't have shit in the world for
White
music
man,
if it wasn't for the blues.
You're just starting to get the blues.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's all right there in the footnotes.
But I love Rob. I love him on this song. He sounds sounds massive.
Massive.
Okay.
Fucking massive. All right. So.
Sprechgesang.
Sprechgesang.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Please forgive us, German listeners, because there are actually fucking German listeners. So.
Schöne Freuden.
Yeah. Flugende Schlumscheits. All right. So the next one up is Beauty and the Beast off of The Day Everything Became Nothing, 1987. Now we're going to listen to a little bit of that message.
Chance, behold the eyes of the beast. Those hungry eyes on beauty's parts, those burning eyes on beauty's parts. Those burning eyes, so dark and hot, dark and hot, dark and hot, dark and hot. Behold the
eyes. All right, so I'm up. Fucking shit, this song is epic. I adore Small Parts. I think pound for pound, it's probably I can't say which is my favorite album, but it's often like I don't call this my favorite album, and then I listen to it and go like, fucking, are you kidding me? Of course it's my favorite. This whole album is fucking incredible, and I love this song so much. We were talking about Andy's vocals on Big Dick. Andy's vocals on this song, I think, are fucking incredible.
Get out of here.
His sneer, everything. And this is an old saw I've had even on this podcast already, and I'm going to hit it again and again and again. But every part of this song plays into the overall impression and meaning. Nothing is fucking ancillary. Everything is perfect. Every sneer he makes, the way they do the warble, the distortion on Andy's voice when he's singing is part of the distortion of beauty and all of that shit. It just fucking perfectly adds to the meaning of it. Small aside, I had an acquaintance of my best buddy Russell, who introduced me to the band. Russell. And this acquaintance was into No Means No, and he was always trying to convince us that No Means No were Satan worshipers. Because of the way they emphasize the word beast in this song and in Rags and Bones. And I'm like,
hold the eyes of the beast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're not Satan worshipers.
They're not Satan worshipers. So that guy was a fucking tool, and I wish I had remembered his name because I'd call him out right now, but I don't.
Right.
And if you're out there and you recognize yourself in this story, I'm sorry, man. Back then you were a fucking tool. So anyway,
and you probably still are.
That fucking lilt in the middle where Andy's doing the beauty struts and beauty flaunts, because this is what the eyeball wants. Beauty doesn't stand a chance. Behold the eyes of the beast. Fucking A, man. That's just, it's gorgeous. And then straight into the so dark and hot. It's so good. A masterwork in vocal presentation.
And Satanity.
Yeah, exactly. Satanity. I love it. And lyrically, this is right in the No Means No comfort zone. Again,
they
kind
put
of
the
like
insanity in satanity.
Perfect. It's kind of what we've been talking about with these other songs. This is like that dark primal nature that is uncontainable and fucking wild and savage and reacts to this beauty, right? This false mask, but underneath the mask is this dark primal fucking energy that cannot contain it. Absolutely cannot contain it. Musically, the guitar and the bass work fucking works perfectly together. No other band could have made or would ever try to make a song like this. You just, I don't think you could do it. Now, I don't have a vast musical, like I haven't heard tons and tons of bands, so I'm probably full of shit, but I just can't imagine another band composing a song like this. It's just crazy. The way Andy uses guitar to like Jackson Pollock up the spaces between this tight bass and fucking drums is just so, no other guitarist has ever fucking done that. He's not trying to be a lead. He's like filling in these spaces with these fucking riffs and jabs and fucking squawks that they just are. It's just fucking beautiful. I don't know that I have anything more to say about this other than it's just a masterpiece. I love this song. So that's me.
I have heard tons of bands, and in some ways, I kind of wish I hadn't started off so early in my music listening career to No Means No, because it kind of fucked everything up for me.
Right?
Fuck you, No Means No. It established such a high fucking bar.
Yep.
As you have mentioned, I mean, I got to know this song on the CD version where it had Small Parts Isolated and Destroyed and The Day Everything Became Nothing on the same CD. And I'd never really looked to see which songs were on which thing and where they fell. But it's kind of interesting that the Day Everything Became Nothing was the 5 songs tacked onto the beginning of the CD. So at least they are sort of... It might have been an interesting experience to listen to The Day Everything Became Nothing with its first song rather than it being 5th or 6th or whatever. Anyway, right. It's just one of these things that doing this podcast kind of makes me realize that the song order and the place on the album definitely affects the way you perceive the song and the way you experience it, especially at first. But it still leads into Brother Rat, so it's all good. all good for me. I like so much about the song, but it's not one of the ones that ever stood up for me on the CD. I know it backwards and forwards, but for me to actually sort of again, I probably would have had to think a sec just to think of which album it was actually off of at first. So it's interesting, a little bit more obscure, maybe not my standout on that album, but I sure like it a lot, of course. Incredibly just No Means No tightness, no fat to trim, just incredibly tight through the corners and the changes and everything like that. Okay. I'm definitely a bass and drums kind of guy. I don't really, don't tend to be moved all that much by guitar, but on this song, I discovered generally when I don't even I'm indifferent to guitar, I don't really notice it that much. But I love the guitar and actually follow that part, unlike a lot of No Means No songs on this particular song. So, certain bits where, that little breakdown where the guitar is going down and the bass,
yes,
or the guitar is coming up and the bass is going down.
So fucking good. Yeah.
So much to love about the song. I mean, the really metal sounding bridge. I must admit, a sucker for anything with Andy screaming or sort of muttering or
hell yeah,
all that kind of shit. And doing the shit in the background is but I love the distorted ring modulator sounding vocals in parts of it. That's makes it sound so like you're in an altered state. It's the dark and hot. I have a thing for dark eyes sometimes, so I remember wandering around at raves and stuff like that back in my youth, and seeing a woman with pretty dark eyes, and just like in the back of my head, just no matter what music was playing, dark and hot, dark and hot. And then of course the silly bit where they Andy's doing a kind of weird southern voice. The snares are muted. It's like
he's got like some percussion instruments in there too.
It's claves because
that's exactly what those are. You're right.
It's claves, and it's actually bossa nova. So it's a No Means No bossa nova song.
It's fucking great.
In the middle of Beauty and the Beast. And,
Yeah.
I don't even know how to interpret the actual meaning of the song. Just that maybe you're kind of unhinged and, there's no consciousness in terms of the appreciation of beauty. I guess maybe it's a little bit of the similar type of sentiment to going back to Big Dick and this animalistic kind of relationship to sex that No Means No seems to have had in its early, especially in the early stuff.
Exactly, it's a theme. That's a well they dip back to a lot in a really smart way. But they fucking dip into that well a lot.
Right.
Yeah, and of course, the drumming is this is a incredible hi-hat song. Yeah. So again, maybe not. And again, like so many examples with No Means No, I mean, the bar is so high. Listening to the song on its own, if I'd heard this first, I would have been totally hooked. But it's not one of my favorites because the bar is so high elsewhere.
Right. Yeah. And then what comes next? You're like, well, fucking come on.
They can't do any better than that. Oh exactly. Yeah, hold my beer.
We'll get there. All right, Michelle, let's hear your take on this.
Oh, once again, you guys have hogged a lot of comments that I had. But when this song first starts, I know, but I love you assholes. But I just wrote, oh, come on with this. Like this song starts and I immediately have shit my pants because I do. I love this song. It's badass. Now, was this one of the songs that the guys that I've heard, they've expressed some regrets about the lyrics? Is this?
No,
is this one of the ones?
I don't think so. I think.
Am I mixing that up with?
You're mixing that up with what's the song on Sex Mad? The Hunt the She Beast.
Oh no, you're right.
They hate the lyrics to that one.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting when we get that. Okay, I was thinking it was this. I knew it was something about
because that one's really fucking straightforward. This one's far more of their like intelligent.
Okay, I couldn't remember which one, but there's the Beast. Hunt the She Beast, Beauty and the Beast.
Right, there you go. I got you.
I think your friend's right. I think there's some Satan going on in here.
Yeah, they're evil.
They are. Neither of you guys mentioned the high-pitched squeal that happens. Was that
Oh, God, it's so good.
I love it. Was that somebody's voice that they just put on an effects thing? And
they must have. No one could fucking do that for real,
that
right?
was, well, other than probably Diarrhea Carrie. I don't know. But I don't want to have her. She wouldn't show up for this, but... That high pitched squeal, I just that fucking kills me. It's amazing, but it's gotta be. I think it's like John's. Maybe I'm guessing if I had to, John's voice put in some kind of voice effects processor that does that because I just love it. The guitar solo in this hilarious and awesome.
So good.
And I'm so glad you guys mentioned the one where Andy's going up chromatically and Rob's going down. It's just like.
So good.
It's so wonderful. And I did also write that I don't know what he's saying. All I can understand is this is what the eyeball wants. That is just my favorite part in that song. I love this song. I'm not going to say anything more about it.
The production on this album, for my money, I don't know that I think they peaked in terms of the audio engineering. It is as much an instrument as the instruments. Like the way that they use it to craft the songs is fucking intense. On all of the songs, every single one of them, the way it's engineered is as important as the instruments themselves, which I don't feel like is necessarily the case in the same way on their other albums. It was totally its own thing on this.
I find it's a little tinny.
Interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. It's okay to be wrong sometimes, Matthew. It's quite all right.
What studio was this done at? Do you guys know? It's probably on the album somewhere. I guess
idea.
I should look it up. But no, I think that the mixing and recording on this is astounding.
All right. Well, one of these top shelf songs has to go to the shit pool. So
oh my God,
I'm up first. This is actually this is a fucking tough one for me.
I know. I know.
Really, really like both these songs, but
I know
one of these songs in my mind is a Mr. Wrong song. And one of them is a classic No Means No song. So I'm putting through Beauty and the Beast because to me, it pulls more of the band along in its wake in an important way. So I'm going with Beauty and the Beast. All right, Matthew, what about you?
I gotta say, for the same reasons, gotta go through Beauty and the Beast. Although, I love Rob and the passion and everything like that. But No Means No isn't about passion. It's also about being a dumbass. So it's I gotta give it to Beauty and the Beast.
Hell yeah! All right. Well, it's already going through. But Michelle, what's your?
No. I'll push it through. I'll vote Beauty and the Beast. But I'm telling you, this was tough.
This was tough. But we were unanimous on both fronts this time.
But I do love the Sitting on Top of the World one, just to show you. It's just, I shouldn't compare the band to the Beatles, but it just shows you how much talent this one guy.
One guy
has.
Yeah.
And like,
exactly.
Bands like the Beatles or the Eagles, and don't anybody pick on me. I know the Eagles suck. You don't have to put up the fucking video from the Big Lebowski. I know the Eagles suck, but every single guy in this band can hold their own on their own.
Absolutely.
But yes,
agreed.
I am going to put in Beauty and the Beast just because it's the shit.
All right. Well, we're that much closer to finding the absolute best song of all time. So we want to thank everyone again for listening. And thank you all for listening to us fucking geek out about this. And feel free to come on the interwebs or social medias and tell us how fucking stupid we are for the choices we made, or that you agree with us, which you probably do because we're totally right. Especially this time because we're unanimous.
So at No Means Nothing on Twitter.
Yep. And same at No Means Nothing on Instagram. And we're in that Facebook group. And I don't know, by the time this one comes out, maybe we'll be even more places, but I don't fucking know by then because we're recording this in the past.
We're going to be in the UN.
In the future.
We're going to have a UN.
I'm not a tweeter, but I'm at Ugly Little War now. So
excellent. So you can hit up Matthew and tell him how he was wrong about the engineering of Day Everything Became Nothing. So listen, everybody, thank you for joining us. We've sent through Big Dick and Beauty and the Beast, and we've sent He Learned How to Bleed and Sitting on Top of the World down into the lower depths of hell, where they may have a chance to come back when we pull in some songs, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that goes. In any event, I would just like to say that I really have nothing against gravity, but it really does weigh me down.
You sick and tired of the same old